Hi, Rule. I'm Kevin from Manila Concert Scene.
How you doing?
Hi, welcome back to the Philippines.
Thank you very much.
I heard you'll be releasing a new album next month.
Yeah.
What's the story behind Fourth Wall? The name Fourth Wall.
It's just an accumulation of the work I've done over the past 3 years. The concept were all kind of inspired by movies. That's why it's called Fourth Wall, and all movies that break the fourth wall. And it's crazy that it's coming out in 2 weeks. I've been working on it for like 3 years, so I'm really excited to put it out. And excited for my fans here in the Philippines to listen to it, and can't wait to come back and do a full show with my band.
So speaking of films that break the fourth wall, what would your biggest favorites be?
Ooh, it's probably Truman Show and like Fight Club. Those two, like the ones that really inspired the album visually as well, and those two like kind of shaped my whole like visual idea for the album.
Yeah, I guess my name is Celine. I'm from Manila Concert Junkies. Well, since your last visit to the Philippines, what was one thing that you were looking forward to doing?
I was just looking forward to just see. I don't know. I didn't know anything about it, so I was just excited to come here and to see what the fans are going to be like. And
they're going to be wild.
Yeah. I just had no idea. I had no idea like what I was what to expect. So yeah, it was an incredible experience, and it left such a strong memory. And I am excited to be back, and I can't wait to come back and do a proper show. I mean, tomorrow I've got just an acoustic thing with me and my guitar, so hopefully people think that's enough.
Yeah, I think it's going to be intimate as well.
Yeah, very intimate. Yeah, that's the idea.
You guys?
Well, first, my name is Patrick from Business Mirror. I just want to ask, since Must Be Nice is a breakup song, did that song come from experience?
Every song comes from an experience to an extent. It's not like a diss track to anyone, it's like, it's just, it's just my take on a breakup, and I wrote it with, a bunch of other people that were just giving me their experiences as well, and it was just an accumulation of, just a different way of looking at things, and I wanted to make something that was easy to grasp, and I wanted to make something as sad as possible. That was the idea.
And how long did it take for you to finish that song?
To write it probably took like 3 hours, and to finish production it took a long time. It was like constantly just kind of battling the thing of like doing too much or not doing enough production wise. We had drums in it at one point that I wanted to take out that people wanted to put back, and then it was just a kick drum, and I was like, it's too loud, and then I just wanted it to be a really raw vocal, so I tried to just use the demo vocal I did on the day, but then I re-recorded it another 9 times to make it perfect, and it was so hard to, it was weird. I'm never really a perfectionist, but I was a perfectionist on that song because I knew it had to be a certain way because of how raw it was and how emotional it was. I didn't want to lose any of that, just to make it more radio-like, or anything, or make it cleaner, so yeah, that was a hard battle, that song, for sure.
Alan from Inquirer, so your previous EP I think was a bit more retro inspired, so for this new album, what's the sound what's the style that you
I think Bright Lights Red Eyes was definitely that kind of like 70s-esque visual, with more kind of 90s music references, like Lenny Kravitz or Beatles and Beach Boys and stuff like that. This album, I don't know, it's like still, I guess, referencing a lot of those 90s artists, but more like Jeff Buckley or Elliott Smith and people more of that singer-songwriter world, like just like a sadder dudes. And visually it's also, I think, a lot more futuristic, I suppose, like a little bit more current, I suppose,
You also launched 2 years ago the RUEL vision.
Yeah.
Is that something that you still want to continue, or concept, something like that?
I think that was just a concept around an EP, and I thought it was a great idea. I thought it was cool to just, it was something to do in the pandemic. We had so much time, so we just recorded as much content as possible. But I feel like, I don't know if the RUEL vision will come out, come back in that sense. But I always love doing fun little experiments like that. So I would do something like that again for sure.
Hi, RUEL. My name is Jamie from Sancho, Manila. I remember you when at your concert in Greenhouse.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I was there. We had a selfie. I guess.
4 years ago. Good to see you again.
Yeah, so good to see you. So I was just curious, how much of an impact does the 90s, do a 90s artist have? I mean, was it something like your parents were into, or are you yourself just discovered like all these influences for yourself?
A bit of both. I think my dad was really good at finding, like, I'd bring like an artist that I love, in that time that I was in then, to my dad, and he'll be like, oh, this person's just referencing this, and he would take me back and give me an artist that I hadn't heard of, or a song that I hadn't heard of, and that's how I kind of deep dive into that. But other than that, I think it's just watching interviews of people reference people, and just deep diving into just iconic artists from that time, and seeing why people love them so much, because I wasn't around when they were coming up, but it's like the music is still so traditional, timeless. Yeah, it's still so timeless to come back to, and it's an incredible feeling when you find a new artist that you love every song from, and it's so new to you, but that person's either perished or they're like 70 now. They don't put out music. It's a cool feeling.
You seem to have a different vibe about you, like as to when you first came here.
Mm-hmm.
Is it like something intentional? I don't know. You have a different look. I don't know. I can explain it.
I think probably I'm an adult now.
Now.
A little bit of hair, I've grown a
More
little bit of height.
casual, more rugged.
Yeah,
type
sure.
of-
I was a bit of an innocent, clean cut little thing, and now I'm just a weathered old veteran in this industry.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just arrived, but could you explain a little bit about your upcoming album? Fourth Wall. So where did that come from?
Like I was saying, it's super inspired by movies and movies that break the fourth wall, and that's where all the visuals kind of came from. And I just liked writing music that felt like a soundtrack to those movies. It was really easy to get inspiration from, because there was so much content to look at and so many visuals that you could reference, and then obviously just bringing my own experiences and bring my own inspiration, things that happened in my life, and melding it into that was like a cool way of mixing it all into one, and still feeling like I'm being true to myself and giving my fans kind of an insight of what's going on in my head.
Are these Marvel movies? Because
No.
when I hear Fourth Wall, I think of Marvel. I don't know why.
Oh no,
What
not
kind
so
of
much
movies
Marvel.
are they?
Like I was talking about Truman Show, Fight
Truman
Club.
Still 90s, yeah.
Yeah, true. Eternal, Spotless Mind, thought it was
Yes.
scary.
Oh my god, that's a heavy one.
Yeah, this movie Her is like one of my favorite movies ever. Joaquin Phoenix, like movie.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, just movies that have a melancholic and just like an interesting way of looking at it, and obviously movies that break the fourth wall are kind of the forefront of experimental stuff. So it's it was cool to kind of take those and run with it.
Speaking of the new album, do you have a favorite track of it?
Yeah, it changes a bit. I think it's weird. Like the first song that I wrote for the album is like the first day when I flew into Bali, and I was like on a writing trip, and I was like, okay, let's make something that feels like a soundtrack to this movie, whatever. And I just picked up a guitar and started just playing these two chords that were just super simple. It was really sad, and I was like, just did a sketch melody to it, and the chorus made no sense at all lyrically when I first heard it, and I was like, it was just like a sketch melody, and then it kind of, the lyrics that I was half saying kind of was actually saying something, and I wrote a song around that. And it was all like kind of the feeling of the end of something, which is weird because it was the start of something. I was like the start of this trip to write this, the start of the album, but it was all about the end. And I was like, oh, this is a really great song, but like, I feel like if it is on the album, it'll be the last track on the album, like it has to be, and it still is. And that's the only song that's like stayed from like 3 years ago now. So I think that song's one of my favorites still, which I find crazy because it's the older song.
Yeah, hi. Charmy from Philippine Star. So what was your impression of the Philippines the first time you came here? And
Your
2019. Impression now?
Yeah, no, it's very similar. I feel like which is amazing because I didn't know what to expect when I first came here. And so it was an amazing response. The show was incredible. Everyone was so loud and loving, and it was like I had no idea that I had people over here listening to my music. So it was a cool feeling. And then when I came back, like, people were at the airport, and there was like similar faces that were still at that show 4 years ago, and I could recognize people, and it was like beautiful. It was really cool to see. And I haven't played any of the shows yet, so we'll see how the energy compares. But I don't know.
So
we're all a little bit older, so maybe we're all a little bit more cool and stand up.
Yeah, so aside from Manila, have you visited other places or tried Filipino food?
Not in the Philippines, but I really want to go come back here for like a surf trip and like have a little vacation. I know there's amazing beaches all around, so yeah, I can't wait to come back because that's definitely on my list.
Surfing.
Yeah, definitely. Growing up in Australia, you
It's part of
you
it.
have to do it.
She also went to Bali.
Yeah. So Bali was an incredible experience. Yeah, to right there, and I love surfing there as well. But yeah, the Asia always just like in general, like the continent has been so like just loving towards me, and like so many different places. Like Bangkok was like my first show over like I think 2,000 people. Like it was crazy. I'd never been there before, and I did a free show and at the mall like I'm doing tomorrow, and like like almost 8,000 people rocked up. It was this insane thing. So yeah, I really love coming here and just like reciprocating the love that you're showing me.
Hi, I'm Nadine from the Manila Times. So, as a songwriter, how did you become more confident in your songwriting skills?
Just getting better at it and just doing it more, I suppose. Like at the start of COVID when I was writing by myself, I was like, oh my God, I'm bad. Like I didn't realize how how isolating it is to do it by yourself, and I've only done it with writers, and I always needed someone to bounce off, and like so I was always second guessing myself and being like, oh, is this okay? And then someone would be like, yeah, and they'll be like, yes, but also maybe this, and that's how I wrote a lot. But after being forced to write music by yourself for so long, I was like, okay, no, like I'm getting better at this, and now I know when to stop and when to and when to be clear and when to add layers and And in terms of melodies, it's like for me, it's just always instinct, and I've just always listened to my instinct on melodies, and lyrics is a whole different thing. It's that's been a lot of fun to kind of delve into on this album, and just to like find different ways of saying things.
So when writing lyrics, it always comes across like a letter to someone.
Yeah.
Which one do you enjoy writing more? A letter to someone or to yourself?
Oh, that's a very existential question. I don't know. I'm trying to look at that in like a deep way. I mean, I feel like I'm a very existential person. I always need opinions from someone else, no matter what I'm doing. Like I just like to know what other people think, so probably someone else. But I don't know. When I talk to myself, when I'm alone and when I'm like thinking about how I can, better myself and stuff, I just get to like a black hole of thoughts where I just never seem to get out of. So, yeah, I much prefer talking to other people about it.
But how did music figure into your life?
Sorry?
How did music figure into your life?
It was just always in my life from my parents. I think I got a lot to my parents, that they always supported me and always made sure, like as soon as I started singing, playing the guitar, they kind of capitalized that and was like, here's a guitar, here's a microphone, do the thing you just did, and I'll be like, okay. So that was really cool to grow up, with that support of music and always having that, and I just fell in love with it. I fell in love with writing music, I fell in love with performing, I fell in love with singing, and I love idolizing artists. I love like seeing an artist and then just becoming fully encapsulated by their whole narrative, and like getting so deep into their life and their experience and their process that makes me so inspired as well when I see other people doing amazing things. So I've just always been in love with it.
Yeah, just to dive in deeper on the songwriting process, I know you're very involved, like since the very beginning. Do you have like any rituals or rewriting routines before you do, like to help you get into this?
Not really, no. I just kind of like, there's like certain places that I feel more inspired, and as like certain times of days, I feel like I have the best ideas when I'm like falling asleep, like going
Just
through my
comes to
brain.
you.
Yeah, just that's the sort of thing when as you were saying, when you're thinking and you're talking to yourself, that's when you find the most about yourself, find out the most about yourself, and that's what I find interesting to write about is like those kind of last thoughts that you have before you go to sleep. So yeah, that's where I feel like I got most inspired, but I don't really have any rituals or anything that I don't like. Yeah, I
Just
don't like.
go and do it.
I don't have any like prayer stones or anything. Like I just kind of do what I can when it happens.
Before the pandemic, I think you were supposed to go into it, but you had to postpone that.
Yeah. We don't talk about that. We don't talk
Yeah.
about that. No.
So how does it feel like to be back on the live stage?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I owe it to everyone who got tickets the first time around. I'd never cancelled a show before that, so it was like a really weird thing.
Fans are very sad too.
Yeah, I was too. I feel like I was the first artist in the world to cancel a show because of the pandemic. Like that's what it felt like, because it was
Just
a
before
month
the
before. It was like
lockdown.
it was like 2 months before lockdown, and it was when the virus was still only in Wuhan, so it was crazy. Like it was like, oh, we didn't know, we just didn't want to take the risk, because if we did it and we went ahead with it and then we had to cancel halfway through, then it's way worse. Like everything's already booked in, we've got people, jobs that people have already worked on. So yeah, it was like this really hard decision. So I know, it was crazy. When I cancelled, everyone was like, what are you talking about? This virus is nothing. Like, it's not going to happen. Like, what do you mean? Everyone thought I was being crazy. And I was like, I told you. So yeah.
I told you.
Yeah, I know. As sad as it was, I feel like it was obviously the right decision. And I'm just so happy to be back. And I'm grateful that everyone is still, was waiting for me on the other side. And everyone was like, not holding a grudge.
Speaking of your fans, they really tweet us. They're for fans in the Philippines. I get tweets from them, or they DM my vlog's Instagram account.
That's good.
So they're very, very passionate. So
That's good.
the fans of the Philippines. Have you communicated with them? Do you communicate them online or in person? Have you guys talked?
Yeah, obviously, like at the airport, there was a bunch of people that were at the first Manila show. So that was really cool to see everyone again. And I've been chatting to them a little bit. I haven't used Facebook in the past 3 years, and then my manager sent me a text being like, there are so many people on Facebook from the Philippines that want to talk to you. So I was like, oh damn, and I went on to that and I was like, oh, that's cool. So
you're not a Facebook person or a Twitter, TikTok?
I feel like I don't know. I just haven't. I'm not a massive
Oh, you're a very TikTok person.
Yeah, no.
I see your TikToks a lot.
Look, I wouldn't say I'm a TikTok person. I just feel like I've got people saying like, oh, you got to make a video to promote this song. Like, do what you can, and then I think of the first idea that comes to my head and I record it. And I'll be like, take it, post it. I don't know. TikTok.
Do what you wanted.
I don't know. I find it like it's a hard place to keep inspired on TikTok. It's it's such a weird platform. It's amazing.
Do you ever watch videos of yourself, like edits from fans?
Yeah, I mean when they tag me, if I'm just scrolling through, I have a look, which is cool, and it's cool to see people putting in time and stuff, and all the edits and the transitions look pretty impressive. And I was like, damn, okay. So I definitely see that now.
Recently, you said that acting was something that you would like to explore as well.
Mm-hmm.
So you've been doing auditions all over.
I have, I've done a bunch of auditions. Haven't got any parts yet, but I keep trying. I mean it's hard because I also want to just prioritize music. So even if I did get a part, I'll probably have to say no because I'm probably touring or something. But it'd be cool to just set aside a certain amount of time to just work on something like that, because it is a super fun thing to do, and I don't know if I'm any good at it, so I just would love to give it a shot just to see what would happen. But
what kind of roles would you like the boy next door type, or do you want the character actor type for acting? Do you have any people you idolize in acting?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I'd go through the whole method pretend to be a serial killer sort of thing. But I don't know. I like portraying characters. I like being funny. I like doing accents and stuff like that. That's just what I like to do, and I find it fun. And I did a lot of drama and theatre sports as a kid. Growing up at in high school, I loved it. and I was a lot better at that than I was at like the music subject. Like I was so bad at music at school. Like I failed every class because I just was so bad at theory and was so bad at like the composition and like kind of the maths behind it all. Like performance, I was right. It was always like composition, theory, and performance.
Stuff, yeah.
And yeah, performance I was good at, but everything else I was terrible. But drama, like I feel like I could actually,
like plays,
pretty good at it.
Like plays, like musicals. Or
No, yeah, a little bit like musicals, but mainly just like like improv and
cool.
just like little plays and stuff like that. Yeah, I always loved doing that.
Let's go back to the let's go back to the album. What were the challenges that you had to overcome? Making that album.
Finishing it. It was incredibly hard. It was just like it was so hard to know when it was done, and so hard to know when things were sounding dated or not fit. Yeah, it was just hard to get everything in place and to make sure everything felt linear and it was the right thing to do. Even if the music was great, I still wanted it to be like a portrayal of like where I want to go next musically and the artist I wanted to look like. So yeah, that was just a massive challenge, and COVID prolonged a lot of things as well, just in terms of getting back to LA, getting back to like my collaborators, getting back to my producer, being able to like work with him first and face to face was really important in our process. So yeah, that took a while obviously. So yeah, it was mainly just everything around the logistics was hard. Yeah. What were you saying?
No, just asking about maybe is your long-time collaborator. Is that somewhat of a comfort zone, working with him, or would you in the future like to try different?
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, he isn't like gatekeeping me or anything. He's not like keeping me in a cage. I'm like, you can't work with anyone else. You're mine. No, he loves working with other, if he works with other artists, I can work with other producers. It's an open relationship. So it's fine. I've worked with a bunch of other producers, and I've had a bunch of other time working with a bunch of other artists and stuff like that as well. So yeah, I always love to collaborate with other people for sure.
Any dream or anything that you're aiming for?
Not really. I'm just gonna kind of I like to do everything naturally. I don't like to force people into rooms with me just because I'm like, I like your music, write with me. I just like, it feels always a lot better when it's natural and it just comes through just happen to be there, and then if you get along and you write a good song, that's kind of how it goes.
So what can we expect for tomorrow's show?
Not much, really. Just me and an acoustic guitar, just trying my best to not forget any chords, because I'm not a great guitarist, but it's just me and the guitar tomorrow, so we'll see how I go. I'm in no way like a multi-instrumentalist, so I'll give it my best shot, but it's fun doing it on the guitar because you have a lot more freedom, and you can just play whatever you want. I'm excited.
Your message to your Filipino fans.
Yes, this camera?
Yeah.
All the cameras.
Yeah.
If you can look at it,
everything.
should we put everything in the front?
Yeah, put it in the
It
middle.
would be easy for him.
It'll be good. Do you want to check that in the middle?
Or just look straight.
I'll just because I want to look at your camera, huh? So,
Fix your hair.
my hair's fine, Denise. My word. Always talking about my hair. Thank you, everyone, for sticking with me over the past 4 years. It's crazy that I haven't been able to come back, but I just really appreciate everyone still listening to my music. And if you want to, come to the Venice Grand Canal tomorrow at 7 p.m. I'll be playing this little show. And I love you all, and just want to say a massive thank you for still listening to my music and giving me the opportunity to come back here and reciprocate all the love that you've given me. So thank you, everyone.
Awesome.